of like my aversion to editing anything.
Well, I'm editing the video part of it, Robert. So don't worry about what I'm having trouble recording. Okay, you edit what you have to edit. I'll edit what I have to edit. Anyways, welcome to the Paracast. I'm your host, Tomas the Boss Hernandez, joining you large and in charge via Skype. And if you head on over to YouTube to the Tactical Tom YouTube page, you can find the videos of all this stuff. Anyways, joining me tonight, joining on video tonight, joining me tonight. He's begging you for once. Don't call the cops.
Please, please.
It's
You
Steve
know my
Koski.
name.
I just want this sandwich for free. How many times do we have to go through this? And when he demands service, he takes off his flip flop and slams it on the counter. It's Robert Wyatt.
Yeah, I got nothing, bro.
You got one more flip flop.
One more.
Don't make me whip this out. Excuse me while I whip this out.
And Kenny Terry can't be joining us because he's busy being a good son and helping replace his entire father's front end on his vehicle. So
Yeah,
good
he's
for
working on
Kenny
his
Terry.
dad's front end.
Yep, he's working on his
I mean,
dad's front end.
how does
So
that not sound kinky?
you know what, you can't. It's like you can't do anything now that doesn't have some sort of double entendre. You realize what we've done to the human language at this
Well, there
point?
is nothing in
Well, it's a whole
automotive
that's
work
what she said.
that
I mean, you can say that
yeah.
after every sentence.
Yeah,
That's what you said. God, it gets so old though.
well, it's
Oh
like
no, it never gets old.
it's like the 17-year-old and up version of "I'm rubber, you're glue." Whatever you say to me bounces off of me and sticks to you. Talking about sticking to things, I got my 80% kit in, but didn't have my router. And so what I ended up doing is I went to
I can't see it. Put your hand on it
I
again,
I
so
I'm
it
going to
shows
do
up
it.
in the video.
I got to change my background effect so it doesn't pop up and scale and do all the sorts of weird things. Um,
Yeah, we don't. We also don't want Susan, wiki to go and kill the feed. So let's avoid
yeah.
that.
But anyway, so I went. Yeah, this video, it's all digitized.
Whoa!
Correct.
Oh
Yeah,
my
It's a
gosh,
ghost
Kevin, it's a
gun.
ghost
it's a
gun.
ghost gun.
Kevin was right.
It actually is a ghost gun. So I talked to the people over at 80% Arms, and they decided they would just refund me $80 of my order, and I could go to the depot and pick up a router, a speed mill. So I looked up in their manual, and it said like what router is exactly the same as their Freedom router, and the Makita router is one of those. So I picked up a Makita router, had my milling bits and all that stuff in there, and me and my brother-in-law milled out I milled out mine, and then so I was the test run, and then he milled out his.
That he milled out
Yeah,
his. Wink,
yeah,
wink.
no, he actually did mill out all his. So I would eventually take it out and take a look at the router, and then I would run my fingers in it. It's like, nah, man, you got to like hold closer to the edge, make sure because you're getting a little step here. But he did not go through the. Uh, so my router, my lower's functional, like it functions, it looks good, except for the front wall of the magazine. So if
Can
you
you
put,
show us?
well, it would be a little
Turn off your
difficult.
background effects.
I'm trying to. It won't let me because we're already in the middle of a call. But so in this
What kind
stupid,
of low budget thing is
I don't
this?
know. It's dumb. I shouldn't have turned it on. But anyway, so like the front of the magazine, well, so like if the bullet tips would touch a wall, they'd touch that front of that magazine wall. And well, anyways, so I was going through there, and since I did it first, and it's also the first time I was running a router, I did what Robert said, and I was like, practice on a block of wood. So I put a 2x4 in there sideways, and then I was kind of routing with that. I was like, okay, it works. The issue is the way that I had put on the plate adapter that would fit into the guides of the jig was canted slightly,
Oh no.
and so the router would kind of bite and get lodged. It was kind of like a locking bar effect. Like here's the bushing, there's the router. Instead of the router sitting flush, it was sitting like this, and so it would bind.
Did you
And
return it and get your money back?
no,
And then
I
buy another one the next day?
no, I went back and I was like, what the hell's wrong with me? And then I read the manual. I was like, oh, that's why you don't lock in the screws till it's already run all the way through. So, anyways, I got through this part, and it was such a hard thing to make adjustments, and then I finally made adjustments. But there was this one part where I was milling it, and like the router was like, "F that noise," and it like hopped up, and so I just have like this
Did it take a hunk out of your hand or something?
No, it took like a little bit of. There's like some tool marks. There's only tool marks on that one side, and then I fixed it.
It's called chatter.
The chatter of the mill. Let me tell you something. Every damn thing that I have that can kill me that's a power tool has a mechanical safety. Hold this trigger down while you press this trigger so that if you get your leg cut off, you release one. Guess what happens to the saw? It turns off. You know what power
I
tool?
just tape that. I tape that down because I don't want that thing turning off.
If I get my leg cut, I want it to go all the way through. That router, that speed mill, does not have a safety on it, so it has power on and power off, and so the milling's actually pretty relaxing. It's pretty neat to see like the material just like a 1/16 of an inch be removed away a little bit at a time, and then once I got it down, his lower looks absolutely beautiful on the inside. There's no chatter, there's nothing like that. I have a little bit of chatter on mine, but it's a functioning. What I did, I missed about a 1/16 of an inch on the very base of the lower, and then we did his, and then I was just like, I was putting my trigger pack in, and like I couldn't get my safety through over the trigger, and so I was trying to put that on the trigger sear housing, and I was trying to put the safety through, and I couldn't get down, and I was like, oh, you know what? I bet you I missed a pass. And so I stripped the whole thing down again, put it in the mill, dropped that thing down to where it's supposed to be, and I removed a 1/16 from the floor of the receiver. Everything fits in there just beautifully. It's so nice.
So the front of your magazine well has what? Just some chatter on it?
Well, some chatter would be acceptable. It does have a
Big
where
nasty
It
gouges?
looked like a drunk with a rasp came through it.
okay, it has a 1.5 millimeter chunk that has been removed from it, which so in front of that part of the gun there's the magazine release, and there's a little hole in the front of that magazine area where I can see the
You can see daylight out there.
I can see the spring of the magazine release. So it's a water drainage area. You know, so if you get water in your magazine release, it can drain out through the trigger housing.
It's
so
not a bug, it's a feature.
it's a feature.
You now just drill out some more holes and make it look like you did that on purpose.
Yeah.
So Lex and I we bought a it was a test 80%. So I guess the company had made some 80s that didn't actually work out really well. And so like we'll sell you these things for like $20. They're not you can't actually turn it into a firearm. Well, you know.
Yeah.
But you can use it as test just to learn how to do the process. And we're like, for $20, yeah, we'll do that. We'll learn the process.
Yeah.
Because it really is funny.
My last 3-pack of Anderson lowers were $23 each.
Shut up. Shut up your face. So it was fun. It was very relaxing, and when you're done with it, you're like, oh, this is like my gun. I like made this. Well, the funny thing is like how beautifully smooth the speed mill, that bit will make everything on the inside. The one thing that's always rough that you have to kind of polish out is what you do with the drill gun. What you do with the drill and the big bits when you drill the safety hole and we drill the 2 pins for the trigger housing pins. You got to go in there and kind of like polish those up because they're not exactly perfectly. They're just cut rough.
The diameter of the drill bit always makes it tough.
Yeah, and so but it works. It functions. It fires. It holds a bolt back. You can drop the bolt. You can kick out a magazine. You can put it in. So by all measures, it works. And so
more importantly than anything, it's one more gun that the government doesn't know about.
It's only ugly if you look at it from the inside, right? From the outside, it looks fine.
And the hammer covers where it's ugly. So that you don't know.
I mean, that's like putting a bag on the ugly girl's face. I mean,
it's just
doable.
It's just truth in broadcast, and like a good gang member, this one says nothing all over it. There's nothing that says anything on it. It's just a lower that has a magazine, so it's pretty neat.
Just get a little Bondo and fill that hole up and.
No, it's going to be a little score. It's a little something to look back on. Anyways, what else? I ordered 2 more HK 45 mags. That only cost me $97. And what?
Are you kidding me? Did that include overnight air freight?
It included standard ground shipping. So they were $40.88 on Gunbroker. So that's not bad. Normally they're $45.
$1
Then
magazines.
I got to pay the 3% because I'm using a debit card and sending some drug dealer cash. So it goes up like, a couple bucks. And then it's $10 shipping to ship it to me, and then my state tax of $6, so it only, but you can't get. I dare you to get 2 magazines from any other manufacturer for less than $97. So.
Well, let's see. My neck guards cost 23, so 23 times divided by 97. Carry the 1. Yeah, I think I might be doing a little bit better.
HK45. Can you just bend the lips out a little bit or something, Tom?
Bend the lips, make them longer. You could do a whole bunch to them. But I was just sitting there going, "Is like, you know what? I want 5 or 6 magazines for this thing," and I'm like, well,
So you bought 2.
you got to.
You just buy 5.
Well, now I have 5. I want 6.
It came with 3.
It came with 3 because I got the
That's nice.
I got the law enforcement bundle, so it saved me $50. And then I went over to So I was like,
law enforcement's ever actually going to use more than like 30 rounds?
No, they're not buying at HK. They don't. No law enforcement. No. Okay, if you're a new department, like let's say they just built a subdivision and it was big enough to get a law enforcement department, then you can afford to get HKs because you're not trading anything in. If you're trading something in and switching, HK does not do LE trade-ins. So we're not buying your old inventory. SIG, Beretta, and Glock and Smith & Wesson will do that.
We'll buy it back.
Boy, HK just really they put out the good incentive to want to come back to them, don't they?
Well, the one thing is like once you get into the HK, it's not that bad. It's just getting into it. So it can't be your first gun and it can't be your 17th. It has to be like 18th, 19th, or like whatever. It's like, or number 1. That's it. That's the only thing you can do. So I went over and I was trying to find the holsters for it. So I got a ComTac International because they make one for the HK45. So I was like, okay, ComTac's a good reputable company, so that can be in like an IDPA holster. And then I went to Falco Gun Leather, which only happens to make any holster you would want in leather with any gun you would want with any light combination you would want.
Unless you're left-handed.
No, Robert. They do it for the lefties too. And so I ordered like a leather, like tan leather appendix rig. It's called a Falco 110 Harrier, which will carry a spare magazine with it. And I got my initials embossed on the back, and on the front it's embossed with HK45, and then it's got like a line of leather inside to protect the finish. And it's going to be here in only 9 weeks. So, there you go.
Which initials did you get embossed?
Which one?
Which initials did you get embossed?
My God-given ones, not TBH. I got the THN.
TSN. Thomas Squibnandez Nelson.
See, I should.
Man.
Des, fine. I'll help you. So I ended up doing that. So it was a lot of fun. I'm having a good time this week. Like I'm really having a good time. Like I'm milling out lowers. I have to vacuum the entire damn house and the guest bedroom because we milled mine last night. And guess what? When you mill aluminum with a speed mill, it throws shavings. Like crazy.
You did this in the house?
I did this in the garage. The problem is I have to go back into the house to sleep. So it's not like I have a clean room where I could have stripped down. Like I just walked there and then we're like aluminum flakes. And then my brother-in-law was next.
Clothes or something?
Yes, yeah, they get stuck to your clothes.
Into bed with Denisa,
I didn't get into bed. I took it off and then she made me shower. So I showered. I put on clean clothes, which I then mailed the second day in, which I then took off, showered, put on these clothes, and now I have to vacuum everywhere. But my brother-in-law, he wasn't expecting to spend the night because he thought we were going to be, you throw this thing in the mill, you put the power button on, 16 minutes later, you got yourself a receiver. No, not especially when you, no. It's like,
this is what I was telling you when you said you're going to start doing it. I'm like, figure out how shallow you need to go, then go less. Take your time.
Yeah.
You will chatter.
Yeah, it's like, hey, would you like to make passes with the mill at a 16th of an inch? How deep do you need to go? 3 inches? Oh, this will probably take a minute. And so, but it's so beautiful just watching just like something take form, just the shiny metal just coming off. So anyways, he didn't bring a change of clothes and he slept in the guest bedroom. So
why didn't you return the router yet? Did you get your money back?
No, I'm keeping that thing. That thing's fun.
Okay.
I mean,
you got to do more 80%.
It's like what's the most terrifying thing is get a battery powered router, turn it on, and then yell at somebody catch. And then, let the panic ensue. Steve, what'd you get up to?
I shot the Slipsa match with Robert, except not with Robert, because I never saw you even once.
I didn't even know you were there until like long after, and Lex was like, "Yeah, Steve was there." He was.
Was Lex there?
Yeah.
What?
Lex,
Dude, no. So yeah, we got so gosh, what was it? I had originally signed up on Kenny's squad, who also didn't show up, but I think it was Wednesday or Thursday. I got this text message from a lady who'd come to the new shooter match, and she said, "Hey, we're shooting this match," and I'm like, "Oh, cool." And she's like, "Yeah, we're bringing a bunch of other new people." I'm like, "Okay, well, I'll come over and I'll just shoot on your guys' squad, and I'll just kind of like watch over you." And so yeah, I swapped squads and I was over on squad 1 the entire
We
day.
had 3 or 4 new shooters on our squad.
Oh, did
It
you?
was a new shooter palooza. One
Oh, wow.
guy, his well, I don't think he was a new shooter, but is it somebody I don't recognize? Anyway,
did he
34th
speed
round.
holster on the clock? That's my
34th
favorite
round.
thing is when they have like a single action gun and they're moving position. They're just like, let me shove it back into my holster on the clock, then run over here. That's the best.
He holstered, cocked, and locked his CZ in CO. I was like, "Oh, you're shooting open?" He's like, "No, I'm shooting carry optics." I'm like, "Well, not if you let me start this stage. You're not. You're gonna have to decock that." He's like, "With my fingers?" I'm like, "Uh-huh.
Yep.
With your fingers.
Yep. You
Don't
chose.
Don't make it go bang. You'll be all right."
There was a bunch of double actions in the counter, buddy, and you chose the one that doesn't have a decocker.
Well, it's
So
the thing. Every single one of them, they go out and they buy these CZs or whatever, and then it's the same like with the 1911, right? They rack it. The only time they ever use it beforehand is they step up to the line, put some bullets in it, rack the slide, and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
Yeah.
and then they drop it and they put it down. They never actually have to start the gun with double action because double action's hard.
Yeah. And then about his 4th shot of the stage was a squib, and he stopped himself.
Oh, nice.
And so we he zeroed out that stage. Well, we let him shoot it again just for fun, so he could shoot it. And then again on the very last stage of the day, about 4 or 5 shots in. Oh, I think that's a squib. I'm like, all right, tape him up. He just put a bunch of mics down until the score is 0. Hit enter. Like we're not really scoring this because we don't need to. It's gonna be a 0.
It's a That's the one thing about USPSA, which is a little bit nicer, is like if you really mess it up, the scoring's a lot easier. People just go like this, like, listen, it's a 0. The only problem is when you're like, it's a 0, and then you're like, no, sir, it's not. It's a .0061. Aren't you happy? We counted.
If he'd shot but more than 3 targets, we would have scored it. But when you shoot at 3 targets, like it's gonna be a 0. So that was funny. We had a new shooter charge way out beyond the forward fault line and start to aim at some steel, and I stopped him.
Oh no!
Plate rack's easier that way.
Dan Ward paced it off, and I guess he would have been legal to shoot the steel from where he was, but he just like had no idea where the shooting area was. And when he went charging out of it, I just was like, "Stop! We're not going to play this game." And
he's like contacting the plate rack muzzles.
Yeah, I just wasn't gonna. I didn't want to see how far up he was going to run. So. And then we had one guy who wasn't a new shooter, but the stage where Dirk's stage, where you started 3/4 of the way towards the front of a big deep shooting area, the Cooper Tunnel.
Mm-hmm.
So he, like the rest of us, he went up to the Cooper Tunnel and kneeled down and then after you shoot through the Cooper Tunnel, you run way to the back of the bay, and guess what happened?
He pointed the gun up range.
Yeah, 180. Yeah, he went 180. And everyone on the squad's like, "Whoa!" And I'm yelling, "Stop!" He's like, "Oh yeah."
If more than 3 people flinched, you broke the 180. That's the rule, everybody.
The whole squad gasps. You don't have to ask what happened.
When someone mutters the words, "Oh shit" or "Jesus," you've broken the 180.
Yeah, he knew exactly what happened. I didn't have to explain anything to him. That was a cold day.
Oh, it was terrible. Yeah, it was supposed to be kind of nice, but the wind picked up and it was rough.
It got colder and colder as the day went on.
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah. And I shot worse and worse as the day went on. I think I took home 3 or 4 no shoots and a mic. God, it was rough.
Keep it up for when we shoot Wasatch together in IDPA. Keep it up, Steve. Keep it up. I want you that winning form.
Yeah, this was my first match back since October shooting outdoors, and I'm like, yep, it was a little too soon. I should have stayed in retirement.
But it's
one mic and 3 no shoots. So I was lucky enough to land some of those no shoots right on the edge. Those are the no shoots you're glad to have.
Yeah, when you walk up,
Take that one.
when you walk up, and you're just like, of course, I would never
Two alpha no
actually
shoots.
shoot. Yes, I
2
got
alpha
it.
no shoot.
I broke the line.
Oh,
Robert,
no.
how'd your match go?
Oh, I don't know. I didn't even look at the scores. But it was fun. I mean, I shot really slow. That was kind of, but I kind of expected that going in. It was fun though.
Deltas crap.
What's that?
What are you shooting deltas for? You got 9 of them.
Am I? I didn't know.
You shot 9 deltas.
Okay. I take you at your word.
Steve, shut up. That's 9 whole points. What are you talking about? He got 9 points.
Oh man, no, it was just I mean, most of the day I spent most of that day just worrying about the new shooters. And it's one of those weird things like you never seem to like get over that. You're always like, like, okay, are they having a fun time?
Yeah.
Are they staying safe? Are they you never really get out of that mentality, and so you kind of just, I don't know. It was fun. I think every single one of them had a great time.
Mm-hmm.
And to be really honest, I mean that was the whole reason I went to that squad in the first place. You want the new shooters to come back and then bring friends with them. And
did you shoot the new slide?
Did you shoot the new gun? Did you shoot the Beretta or the CZ?
No, he's got a new slide now.
On.
I bought a new slide.
That doesn't let you touch your thumb to it, or what?
No. That's solved with what do you call that thing? The safety.
The non-decocker. The non-decocker.
Safety. No, so I think I may try CO again. I don't know. I bought another slide in an SRO, and so it's
This is a CZ.
A CZ
Shadow 2 slide.
But I think
okay.
But
you already had one of these, right? And didn't?
Yeah, I rage sold that thing.
But now that you know that it's the thumb issue, you're back in the market.
Well, I think the problem with the original CZ was also that it was CZ custom to the cut on it, and it was that they had those aluminum plates. And I think those were the ones that were always just working their way loose, and so you'd lose 0 on the gun, and it would go out of set. But I talked to some guys who said send it to ATEI, so I'm just gonna have them direct mill a Trijicon SRO right into the slide, and then just be done with it.
That'll be fun.
To be really honest, I think I'm gonna actually buy the rodeo slide from Langdon.
Oh,
because that's really cool, and it's cheap. It's only like $500.
What's the rodeo slide?
That's the Beretta 92 way that Ernest could put an optic on it
to ride on it. Okay.
So that'll be fun. That'll be a fun thing.
Has one, and he let me play with it when we were at Area 4, and it's cool. I like it a lot, and it's on a Beretta, and I still like Berettas, so I may do that. But
that'll be fun. Some of the commoners like guns like Berettas and and Glocks and stuff. Us people of a higher taste prefer a much finer. Some people.
Only.
Yeah, some people pay less than $44 for a magazine, but some people just won't want to take on that kind of quality.
I mean, some people drink white wine. Who knows?
Who knows? Some people
drink White Claw. I mean, it's
some people buy name brand Dockers. Like some people just want to throw that money out the window. Like who knows? Who knows what's going on?
We shot this stage. It was stage 6. So it was basically that massive hoser stage in the hotel, if you remember that one, Steve. And
where you had to snake up around through the hall, the tight hallway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
basically kind of a T-shaped hallway, and you had to go all the way around the T.
Mm-hmm. And it was fun. I mean, it was that stage because I have a picture of it, but there's 4 magazines, just in that little tiny area.
Yeah.
And I shot that thing, and I'm like, this is why I like production. I mean, you're shooting really quick. You're just changing mags as fast as you can, trying to get through the stage.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this was absolutely fun. People are like, well, let's go to 15-round production, and I'm like, you would not get that with 15-round production. It's just it's an entirely different feel, and I know there's all the people that are just like, no, we have to go to 15 rounds to make production viable.
No,
That
it would
stage,
ruin it. Yeah,
it
15
would,
round production is a terrible idea.
Well,
yeah, that stage was the funnest stage of the entire match.
Yeah.
And most of it was just like, trying to jam that reload as fast as you could because you're one step and you're immediately into that next position.
You shot that just over a half second faster than me, but you shot 3 more Charlies and 1 more Delta than me. So
Yeah, so I actually didn't even look at my sights once that entire stage. I just because Jared stepped, that bastard, he came in and he's like, yeah, I shot that in 14 seconds. I'm like,
Jared
14
doesn't
seconds?
aim. Steph
the CO
doesn't.
guys,
Steph
the CO
doesn't
guys
aim.
running that stage too. It was just like bop, 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 bop. I mean, it's like
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
was amazing.
Yeah, but that was the thing. I mean, that's what made the production so much fun was you're actually having to try and do other things instead of just pulling the trigger. And don't get me wrong, pulling the trigger is fun, but trying to jam those mags as quick as you could, that was a
I'm going
lot
to
of
stay in
fun.
production, unlike some other people I know. Right, Robert? Right,
Oh
Kenny?
yeah. I'm changing everything.
I
No, I don't know. I had so much fun shooting that stage. It was really, and I thought Dirk did a great job with the Cooper tunnel.
Oh,
We
that
never
was a
get
great
those.
stage.
It was a great stage. Yeah, I mean,
I
did
forgot.
You
I-
shot up into the Cooper tunnel and then ran back. That's how you did it.
I ran up into the Cooper tunnel, fired at what was there, like a dozen targets up there?
Uh-huh.
A lot. And then I ran all the way back to the right position and did the rest of my shooting
did
from
it.
one position.
Yeah, that was me too. The
Yeah.
back corner,
Back right corner, yeah.
right corner. Yeah, I did the same thing.
But I took home a mic and a no shoot on that stage.
Executed.
Frag it.
Executed
Oh, man,
somebody.
on Stepan's stage.
Which one was his?
His was the one with that stupid angle. It was in the outhouse stage or whatever, where the two angles come like it was the memory stage.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was a terrible stage. But it was really
put
weird.
a round off a barrel, and Dan Ward, after looking at it for a few minutes, said, "I'm going to give it to you." He said, "But you owe me 15 points."
Well, it was weird. I went and I grabbed a magazine out of my pouch, and I went to shove it in the gun, and right as it's starting to go in, I noticed there's a loose round. I'm kind of just hanging on to the top of it, and it was too late. I shoved the thing in. I go to take a shot, and obviously it fires the round out of the chamber, but then it's like you're sitting there you're like click click, what the hell's going on? You try and rack it, nothing's going in because the magazine's obviously not C to C. Tap it, trying to get it to go in, and that's strip that sucker out, and sure enough, there goes the bullet falling on the floor. The problem with doing that was the way that stage was laid out. Every single position after that was all slide lock reloads.
The one thing is like when your bolt's sitting in the magazine that's partially out, and you pull it out of the pouch, and like you pull it out of the way where you cause some backwards force to push the bullet forward, and then you see it when you're loading it into the gun. You see it and you're just like, no, this time it'll work. Like, here's the time. This is the time. It's like I did that in an IDPA match one time, and it's just like it's like just as good as doing this. Like,
yeah, it's the same.
Have the bolt put at the top. Don't worry, the slide when it comes over, it'll grab it. It'll be fine.
I will say I did one other thing that I haven't done in probably 2 years.
Not kill a prostitute. Go ahead, continue.
I did that last weekend. No, I was actually looking on the ground and I'm picking up loaded ammunition, and I'm just like, oh, there's one and there's one.
Just for the case and the primer at this point, like I'm sitting there looking at it, like it's like I was sitting there looking like, well, how much is 45 brass? Like, cause how much of that can I get? Cause I know that's a vast commodity that's going to go away. You know.
Yeah, I saw people picking up brass like I have not seen maybe in 20 years.
Yeah.
I have not seen so many people picking up brass. It was unbelievable.
I'll go.
People that don't even reload. I think they're just like, oh, everyone else is picking up brass. I guess I'm gonna pick up brass.
I got to get it now. It's now a commodity. It's just like, yeah. It's a pain in the butt.
It was funny because I was picking it up and I was making the joke with Lex. I'm like, I'm just gonna like show this on the show right next to a trash can, and I'm gonna throw it all in there and be like, I don't even care. But then I'm sitting there looking at it, I'm like, okay, yeah, actually, I do.
I need to pull these. I need to get this. I need to get this powder out of these things. I need to get them loaded. Yeah, it's an interesting time. I have the week off, so I'll see what I can do and what I can pull and what I can put on there because especially with 45 caliber. Yeah, I have my week off.
Good behavior. They're allowing.
This is where my my vacation renews in March, and so I take a week off here because it's been 8 months since my last vacation, and then May through June. At the end of May to like the beginning of July, I won't be around UPS. So the month of Tom shall continue there. But I'll start my vacation by vacuuming up the entire house, and then going out to my reloading bench where my vise is, completely pulling everything off the bench, the press and everything, putting down a good piece of countertop I got at Home Depot while I was there. So I have like what are they? They're like 12 by 2s. So they're like 12 inches wide by 2 inches thick, and I got 2 of those. Yeah, 2 by 12s. Yeah.
You just make the reloading bench out of that with the deck. That's the deck, right?
Yeah, yeah. So
that's what mine is. It's
yeah,
great.
But now I got like a piece of like pine, like countertop that I can cut and put on top of that, and then mount the stuff on top of that. So it'll be less for H&K. I got
countertop.
Where the hell else am I going to put the sticker, Steve? They sent me a sticker in the case. I got to put that sticker somewhere.
I have an art design studio for my workbench because I'm fancy.
I know, you're fancy fees. You got Pablo Picasso back there behind some sort of Fallout thing. Anyways, if you wanna,
I was gonna ask. No, hang on.
Go ahead.
No,
fine. Do what you want.
You're 80%. Why did you not have like a vacuum, like a shop vac or something like
that? I have a shop vac, but I
do
not have it.
Pull it out.
So every pass. Every pass, we vacuumed it out. The problem is when you make 46 passes, you can't vacuum everything. So there are some of the shop vacs that, the routers that the shop vac plugs into, but a lot of those are larger routers and require some sort of adapter plate to actually fit onto the mill that you're actually using. So I have a shop vac. Believe me, shop vac's the greatest thing happened. It's like, hey, there's a mess. Shop vac. Hey, the toilet overflowed. Shop vac. Like the shop vac is like
that wasn't just water you sucked up.
I know. It's just, the shop vac you can do anything with. It's just like we had a bunch of tomatoes in a tomato plant, and we pulled out these tomato plants, and all these tomatoes fell everywhere, and we didn't want them to reseed in the boxes. And shop vac to the rescue. Hey, you're vacuuming up a bunch of dirt. Don't worry. It's a shop vac. And then you just pour the thing out again. All the tomatoes are picked up. It's fantastic, everybody. Get a shop vac. It's the best. It makes cleaning your car easier. Also, that's on Tuesday's list.
Every time you say that, I keep having these visions.
Oh, Steve, you haven't had
a saying get a shotgun.
Get a shotgun. Fire 2 blasts in the air. That's what you're gonna do with the shop vac and the shotgun. Steve, get a shop vac. It is the greatest thing on earth. It's just like anything that you want to vacuum with a vacuum you actually like. The shop vac. What is that? The toilet overflowed. Donitza was all mad, and she's like, the toilet's overflowed. It's just nasty. It's just like, babe, go get the shop vac. Take out the filter. Just start sucking up the water. You can pull water out of the carpets. It's the best thing ever. It's pretty.
First time I ever used ones with water, I didn't actually know you were supposed to pull the filter out.
Yes, it's advantageous to take out the cloth filter. So
what does it just get all wet and won't let any air through, or what?
Well, yeah. Well, the cloth filter is for everything that
the dust and debris.
For the dust not to get sucked back into the engine. But when you're just doing water and liquids, it's not going to come back up.
Yeah.
Okay.
So mine's just filled with aluminum right now and unrecognizable powder that's been down in the ground. The best thing is when on your cement slabs in your garage, the seams. It's like, how the hell am I going to get all this crap out of the seams? Shop vac. Just put the attachment, pull everything out. That thing's got like 8,000 used primers that fell out of the damn Lee Loadmaster and stuff in it. It's great. It's almost as good as Gallon Bullets. Head on over to gallonbullets.com. Use promo code PEWPRO10 and save 10% off your first order. And get a fantastic belt over there at Dominate Defense. Use promo code PARA10. Get a fantastic belt. I've been wearing them. I wore them for my 20th anniversary. It's just like I feel like a changed man. I'm going to go buy a suit at H&M. I carry an HK and a leather holster, and I wear a Dominate Defense belt. I'm a man of distinguished tastes, and so head on over there.
Anyway.
Well, it's some taste. Dr. Pepper. I shared a can of chili with my daughter, and then I walked into the pantry and got Doritos and crumbled some Doritos and put some in the chili. And I asked her if she wanted to do that, and she said, no. What did she call me? She called me something terrible, like a degenerate or something like that. It's like, wow.
Like a human garbage can.
It's like, you sure have changed since you started making $13 an hour. That's right. She's rich now. Rich. Anyways,
start charging rent.
Head on over to patreon.com or subscribe to our Give Us $1 a month, get a longer uncensored version of the show. Head over to facebook.com/practical armed response category. We ask questions and you answer. We answer. And then Telegram. Join us over there. Have a little chats with us, and you can ask us questions over there. It's fun. Good time. Robert?
All right. From Sebastian Munoz. Do you guys know any decent shooting sports that don't change the rules every 4 months?
Civil War reenacting.
And the challenge.
I don't care. I don't care, Bob. The South is not going to
win. We're rewriting history. No, it's ain't a time machine, Jim. You're in different clothes. Yeah, so like that doesn't change that often. And honestly, IDPA doesn't change every often. It's just, you just get some rules here and there. So the things they should change, they don't change. The things you want them to change, they don't. Like they should have appendix. They should have lights on holsters like USPSA. USPA should not have these things.
They should get rid of the flashlights. That is the dumbest thing ever.
I could see it in IDPA more than I could ever see it in USPSA. Honestly.
The problem with USPSA and the flashlights, honestly, is you have every asshole out there is gonna be like, can I get a tungsten battery? And you're like, yes, we can. Should we do it? Probably not. But we've already opened up that door. It's 59 ounces. Nobody cares anymore. So
well, that's generally the problem. It's not really the flashlight. It's the weight limit.
Yeah.
So if you had you can have a flashlight, but look, chump, you only get 5 ounces over your gun's published limit. Then everyone would be like, well, I'd rather have the tungsten guide rod and some brass cap in the grip. It wouldn't care. But since it's 60 ounces, that's when everyone's like, Kenny Platt likes just to torment me by sending me pictures of his Legion with brass grip plugs, tungsten infused gray guns frame, a flashlight on it, and you just hear him maniacally laughing in the background. When I call him and I talk to him on the phone, he just laughs when he puts it on a scale. He's like,
26 power factor ammo.
He's like 56 ounces. The problem is we're in a sport now when people are trying to meme their guns to make them as heavy as possible, and they can't reach their weight limit.
The flashlights fix that.
I can get this Shadow to 59 ounces. Not even a problem in the world.
Yeah, you probably could. It's all in the grip plugs. It's all in the grip and the scales and everything like that you can get on them. But yeah, divisions. I think Bullseye and stuff like that. I think that stays pretty true to itself. Bianchi Cup. I think Bianchi Cup has been the same for decades, pretty much. Well, as far as
we know,
as far as we know,
gay and stupid games, they don't change their rules.
Well, they're games that stress other things besides speed. There's and I would say that too about IDPA. It's like IDPA doesn't stress speed, but they sure do stress accuracy. So it's kind of a different sport. So it's a different thing. USPSA stresses speed a lot. And
yeah, I mean IDPA at this point they're nipping on the heels of Bullseye in terms of accuracy.
Well, yeah, defensive Bullseye. I would guess that would be the best that you could call it. It's like a defensive sport that is based on.
So they should name it
defensive accuracy.
Defensive Bullseye Association.
Well, they should put accuracy in there if they're going to do it. But who knows what sport you're going to join? Basketball. They haven't changed their rules in a long time. Do that.
I like the appendix change. I think the appendix allowing people in production.
That's good.
To shoot appendix. I think that's cool.
Solving the holster and magazine position, that actually it just simplifies it for everybody. It's like, why do each one of these divisions?
It simplifies it without destroying too much, because every time you simplify, you destroy. And so that seems like maybe an acceptable trade-off. But the flashlight
balance,
thing,
right? Though I
mean, and the 59-ounce thing,
yeah.
And the who gives a crap if you're in production, put any parts on it you want. I mean, I don't agree with any of those things. But
yeah, the appendix thing is a really good change. Like that actually works out. We're not all carrying Milt Sparks holsters at 3 o'clock, and a double magazine leather mag pouch on the other side, and we're wearing it over something else. Like it still carries change, and so the positions of the holster should change along with the divisions for the guns.
Yeah, I think there was a time when you could make the argument that AIWB is just too new and we don't know enough about it. But at this point,
that was what, in the
carrying
80s?
Well, I mean, like when we
people have been doing
started,
it for a long time.
Yeah.
has it really been that long?
Yeah, people have been.
Those Lenny McGill videos from the 90s. Lenny's doing
Appendix
like
carry.
these 0.6 second draws from under a sweatshirt, and
Yeah. I mean, appendix was
new.
really popular. What changed it is like a bunch of guys started making holsters and were showing them as being pretty fast with it, and then it's like they reinvented the wheel. Like I think leather holsters and for appendix and stuff like that, I think they're gonna come back because they're comfortable. So like if you could get like a nice leather holster, and here's the other thing I don't understand is like I was watching because I was gonna buy this holster and I was like, well, I haven't messed around with a leather holster for a long time, and like every idiot that gets shipped a leather holster is like, it's really tight. It's really tight. I can't take it out. It's like, of course it's going to break in, but it's really tight. Literally, you had 9 weeks to wait for the damn holster. There's frequently asked questions and like 80 million videos on YouTube that tell you how to break in a holster so it's nice and smooth.
Like, haven't you ever played baseball as a kid? This is how the glove works.
Yeah, and they're like the simplest solution. You wrap the front end in saran wrap, you wrap the trigger guard in saran wrap, like from the trigger guard forward on the gun. You stick that in the holster. It doesn't allow air to get in, and that new size stretches the holster to an appropriate level. It's like put it in there for a day, and then it'll set to that level.
Stick it in.
Pretty much, exactly right.
That's what she said.
Yeah. Next question before we degenerate any further.
It's actually from an anonymous person. How big of a check do you think Foley is getting from Red Hill Tactical for all the weapon-mounted light-compatible holsters they're about to sell?
I would say that there's always I'm going to say that he directly, but like advertisements now that they can go with their guys who are selling ad space in front sight. They go like, hey, we just allowed flashlights. So into the division. So just say yours is the brightest, and also make one that's the heaviest, and you're going to be in a good deal. And then you go to the holster manufacturers, and they send out light-mounted holsters to all their sponsored shooters, and then now everyone's got to roll with it. Everyone's got to roll with it.
Foley is the pretty face on the cover. Jake Martins is the one who's driving this ship. He's the power behind the throne, and he's the one who's driving all these changes. So just throwing that out there.
I'll be happy with any change as long as it's good change. It's just this seems weird. And the other part is like a light right now, like a Streamlight TLR1 HL is 4.13 or 4.11 ounces. So that's not a lot of weight to add to the gun, especially for how much volume. The damn thing with the flashlights is that's a lot of space that can be added to get very heavy. Very
yes, or just steel.
Yeah, very heavy, very quick. It's literally just
unbalances the gun.
Yeah, unless you tune the damn gun. The one thing I think is funny, it's like you're gonna have to everyone's gonna have to rebalance their guns with spring kits and something else like this. But it's just people found out that the old Generation 3 Glocks didn't like frame mounted lights, because it wouldn't allow the frame to flex with the 40 caliber, and it would just cause jams. It's like we're going to start finding out more guns that have problems running lights. More of the plastic guns. You're going to start seeing stuff go kind of weird. Yeah, you're just going to introduce a new demon to it.
A 4-ounce light, maybe it's fine, but a 20-ounce light, it's not going to like that so much.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's just like the front end of the gun where the guide rod is trying to find a home is moving around. So who knows what kind of stress it's going to put on the locking block and everything. So that'll be fun.
From Dirk Hopkins, if you guys were going to shoot a match that is known for wide bays, hard targets, difficult shooting positions, a lot of partials on the move, and tricky stage design, what would you set up for dry fire?
Set up for dry fire, I would go get a bunch of painter's tape. This is the low-cost option, Dirk. If you want to go and get scale targets, do that. But I would set up a lot of 1-inch painter's tape, cut 1-inch squares, put them in your house or wherever you do your dry fire, step as far back in the room from that, and then work on draws to those precise areas, and then clean trigger presses to those areas, and then reloads, and then clean trigger presses to those areas. Because the one thing is you can draw, and it's just like, okay, draw and stop your sights. Transition the gun, stop your sights, reload, and then after you go to make your shot onto the new target that you reload after, please do yourself a favor and stop the sights, and then try to get a good clean press on the trigger on each one. And that's the one thing to do, is do that, and then you're going to go outside, you're going to go set up your gun at 25 yards, you're going to put the thing in a rest, and you're going to make sure your gun and your ammo is capable at shooting at precision things at 25 yards. Because you're going to do that, and if your gun happens just to have a 5-inch group with your ammo and your barrel, or go buy some factory ammo and it's still pushing out a 5-inch group, then your gun's probably not going to be capable of giving you what you want there. So,
well, he shoots a Canic, so it's going to be more than accurate enough.
Yeah. So just make sure you're dialed in.
Good luck stopping that sight.
Yeah, stopping the dot. That's the one thing. Is like when you got a nice big old fat pair of irons, you're like, it's stable. It's stable. It's like a vice. It's like my gun's in a vice, and then you put a dot on that gun, you're just like, holy smokes!
Holy Jesus, thing's moving.
I'm just shaking. I gotta stop drinking caffeine. So yeah, that would be my advice. And then, of course,
I would just go in your backyard and just set up that entire stage, and then just shoot it.
I would buy a firearm, a quality firearm that has an O-ring bushing to make sure that the slide is sealed with the barrel.
That's just so you feel better about spending $44 per magazine.
True.
The O-ring bushing just helps you feel like you're getting the whole package of high expense.
That's right, and the quality roll pins I see in there, they use roll pins in there because they really want to make sure that the gun's held together tight.
One of the new guys on the squad yesterday, he was shooting it was a SIG P365, and it was just jamming.
A little tiny gun?
Yeah.
Okay.
Had a little teeny tiny dot on it. It was one of those Holo Suns.
No way.
And it was just jamming. It was horribly jamming all day long. And so it was the second to last stage. I'm like, dude, come over. So we walk over into the hotel bay, and I'm like, do you got some of your ammo? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, let me see it. And so I'm looking at it, make sure that it, plunks down in, checking that. Because I was watching him, and the ejection pattern is just all over the place. It was horrible.
Is it bouncing off the glass?
No. I actually, he was left-handed, and so I was actually wondering maybe if he was like sticking his thumbs in it to cause him to bounce forward or something like that. And it wasn't that. So I pulled the gun apart, and that thing was bone dry.
Yep.
Like there was nothing in there. And I'm like, so when's the last time you lubed this? Oh, a month or so ago. And I'm like, so you should. And he's like, no, I talked to SIG, and they said that they like to run them dry. And I'm like,
no, they don't.
Dude, like sex, it's better when it's wet.
Speaking about dry SIGs, I got a mass story when you're done.
So we lubed it up and stuff like that, and he did. I mean, he still had a bunch of ejection problems, but on the final stage. But what we kind of figured out, I was talking to him afterwards, and just I had him present the gun, and we started playing with it, and he just had this really weak grip on it. Oh. And it doesn't help that it's like that 365 is probably like the shittiest gun ever built in the history of mankind.
No, they have a stellar reputation.
It recoils so just awful. It's just such snappy gun for being a small gun. I don't understand.
It's a small 9mm.
It's a small light 9mm that has a freaking recoil spring that has to move that 3 ounces into battery after pushing a 9mm cartridge. Like, it's going to be snappy.
And it does. MP shield is a substantially better
MP shield is twice as big when you wrap your hands around it.
Springfield Hellcat also is a substantially better firearm.
Well,
I haven't fired one of those.
I have. It's very nice. It's a very nice shooting gun. Between the two of them, it's vastly better than the 365. Even though 365 gets all the
I know. It holds 12 rounds in the magazine, and it's so tiny. Look how great it is.
It's this tall.
Well, he had a dot on it. The shield is
like two inches taller. They're not even close to the same gun. People are like, this shield is great for matches. I'm like, yeah,
it's the match.
It's a Glock 19.
It's a great firearm. I still think the shield. I mean, it has 8 rounds in it or whatever. I still think it's one of the best subcompact firearms on the planet.
It is, except it's the size of a Glock 19.
Well,
it's a lot smaller than a 19.
It's smaller than a Glock 19, and it's flat. It's flat, and it's not. It's smaller than the Glock 19 because it has the 6-round magazine thing, and then
But
you
it
put the
damn near
8-round.
fills your hand. That's
Well,
right.
Yeah, it's
55
good.
doesn't even come close to filling your hand.
no, it's suboptimal.
It's a
Well, like he had a dot on it, and I just wanted to fire just to see it, and so I locked my wrist out. Even then, you can still see that dot leaves the window, and then it comes back. And you're like, oh man. And he had the dot that had the bullseye in it, so it had like the big
yeah,
donut of
yeah.
death plus a little dot in the middle. I'm like, how are you even shooting with this thing?
Well,
But
it probably helps finding the dot on the thing. It was funny about like guns and lubrication. I remember doing a Mag 40 class, and there was this guy on the end of the line, and he had a SIG P226, and the gun had erratic ejection, and it wasn't locking back, and so everyone was like, maybe it's the extractor, maybe it's the recoil spring, maybe it's this or that. Mass comes walking by, and goes, needs fucking oil, and then he just stops and he goes, it needs oil, and then he walks off. And then we oil the gun. It's kicking brass to the freaking moon. It's locking back on every empty magazine it's throwing in. It's just like no, they all run better lubricated. It's like they work better that way. It's like my Glock doesn't need lubrication. I've gone 20,000 rounds without it being clean. It's like great. My clean one works better. Like
yeah, it's just crazy how that works.
Some weapons, though, however, are manufactured to go up to 20,000 rounds without lubrication or a parts breakage. But that's just some people just like to have that extra confidence knowing around that they're carrying such a stellar firearm with such high.
You're never going to fire that gun, are you?
I totally agree.
No,
Tommy.
it's
I
too
think
expensive.
Beretta is a fantastic firearm. Which gun were you talking about, by the way?
I was talking about both. Whatever. I don't care.
That's just his porn gun. He's just going to stroke it.
This is the sound of 12 pounds going off and striking a primer. There you go. I got a headache now. It was so violent. Do we have any more questions?
Yeah, from Alex Mansfield. I'm currently using all the factory dies in my XL750. Are there any dies that you're using that I should look into and upgrade to?
I used Robert's Dillon 45 caliber dies, and I got to say those were some really excellent dies. All my other dies are Lee's, and they don't do a bad job, but the factory Dillon dies seem to be really nice, high quality dies. So I don't think you're missing out there.
So on my 1050 right now, I've got Dillon dies, a Redding die, and a Lee die, in different positions. So I have the Redding competition seating die. It's the Dillon factory crimp die, the sizing die for Dillon. I've just about any of the. Honestly, for a 750, the Lee is the only one that I would tell you to avoid in terms of dies for the seating.
There's short.
Potentially, yeah, it's a really narrow, so it doesn't handle the flare as well. And maybe the size and decap. Other than that, I think most of the Lees work really, really well. The seating die works really well on a Lee if you're not running an automated or like a 650 or 1050 or something like that. Like a 550.
You're not running a bullet feeder.
Yeah, it just seems like sometimes they get a little bit cockeyed, and the increased flare that you have to put on the case to get it to kind of accept that little bit of wibble, I think that sometimes is a little bit too much for the seating die of the Lee to overcome. And so, but if you're just running it like a 550, like the 550 press, you can run the seating die on a Lee all day long. Doesn't even matter.
Yeah, I think most of my stuff is Lee. I mean, if you got a 4-station press, let's use all 4 stations. Or if you got you have more stations than you know what to do with. I mean, always crimp separately so you can adjust that very easily without messing with the seating die. And I just buy the Lee. I don't use the factory crimp die. It's just the regular taper crimp.
Yeah, taper crimp die.
Taper crimp die. They're like $15 or something. They're great.
I use them in my 650, and they do a pretty good job. The only issue that you can really have with Lee dies running in Dillon products is that the Lee Loadmaster, the dies that are meant for, the shell plate is a lot thinner than it is on the Dillon, and so by the time you run down, you are running out of thread.
You're
like
you're close.
You have a thread on the top, above the shell plate. Sorry, not the shell plate, above the turret. And you better be using those Dillon locking nuts because
You
the
have
lee
to.
nuts,
Yeah,
the
there's
lee
just
nuts
not
do
enough.
not have any space.
Oh,
And
you can turn the lee nuts
You
over.
go in from the bottom.
Yeah.
Well, the lee nuts with the little rubber grommet on the bottom.
Yeah.
Just turn them over so that the rubber grommet is not in play anymore, and then they'll work.
They'll tighten up.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Those bastards at Dillon, those nuts are like 10 cents a piece, and they sell those things in like what a 5-set bag for $10.
Well, now I'm not so sure, but I'm pretty sure I have those just turned over on my press. I'll go look afterwards.
There's another die set. Kenny Platt told me about it. I think it's the Hornadies. I think it's the Hornadies, but they actually have a little sleeve inside the seating die, so that as the die comes down on top of the bullet, that sleeve will then grab the bullet and it'll self-center it above the case before the actual seating even takes place. And I've used that on my 40 Smith & Wesson with just phenomenal results. I really, really like that. If at this point in time, if I didn't have what I already had, I think I'd actually go back and buy those dies, because I think for an automated a 1050, 650 thing like that,
okay.
I think they're very nice for what they are, and they're comparable price to everything else out there.
Right on. Is that
Frankfurt Arsenal Progressive isn't out yet?
No, I think that's fourth quarter.
Okay.
They're not going to be able to make enough of those things.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, that's going to be pretty awesome.
That's going to be like ordering bullets right now. We'll put you on the list, maybe.
Put you on the list.
If you're lucky.
Hope you don't want them for a good year.
You know what they're going to come up with? They're going to come up with, like, in station 9, or how many stations does this thing have? 10, right?
It's 10. That's
10 stations. They're going to have on station 9, it's going to lead to a bridge that's going to lead to another one. And so you only have to pull one handle, but it operates 2 presses. So you can have like 9 stations, and then it goes on a little train to the other one, Frankfurt Arsenal, that you have hooked up for it. And then you can run you could just have like the most customized and pristine ammunition. This one will do half a seating. This one will do the finishing seating. This one it's going to be great. It's
I tell you what, if that thing works the way that they're kind of projecting it to, I will buy one, and I will just do 223 on it. It's the most perfect press for doing that, because you can trim, chamfer, you can do everything all in one go.
Robert, if you buy one more press, you're going to have to move.
Oh no. So like next year, I think I'm going to build a garage, and above the garage, I'm going to actually like that's going to be my new reloading room.
Hot damn.
That's
I think it's going to be next year. If the economy keeps going the way it is, it'll probably be next year.
It's funny is like it's going to be on top of the garage. Robert's going to get there, and it's because he's so temperature insensitive to everything. It's going to be too damn cold in the winter, and he's going to get out there and he's going to die during the summer. He's going to go upstairs. He's going to get halfway up and then go, never mind, it's too hot.
When the economy is hot, you work 80 hours a week. When the economy is in the tank, you work 80 hours a week. You can afford it right now. Just build a garage.
I get it, but I have other priorities. Like Andrew wants to build her shed, and so it's like that's where the money's going this year. It's like every year we have like a thing. So,
Robert's like me. It's like when the economy's good, everyone's excess buying. When the economy's bad, you're an essential employee. We need you out there. It's like feast or famine. But
in 34 years, it has never ever been this busy. This Friday. I was in at 8 o'clock. I went home about 5:30, and in that time frame, I got nothing done that I was supposed to get done. But I spent all day trying to direct all the drafters. But in that time, we had 4 brand new clients call, and we told them the same thing we've been telling everybody: you need to give us a retainer right now, and we will get back to you at the end of June, early July at best. But you have to give us the retainer now, so you're at least on our list. And every single one of them, they're like, how soon do you want the retainer? They don't even question it. Yeah.
What do you mean? Don't you understand the word now?
Yeah, and send over a Big Mac combo too. We need a retainer and a Big Mac combo.
And a bottle of bourbon.
Oh man, it's insane. I mean, when we went through the bad times in from 2008 to 2012, we were working like crazy, but still, it's just like nobody wants to go back to it. So you're like, well, we'll just take all the jobs we can get.
Yep. Well, eventually we'll run out of people trying to move to Texas and Utah, and then that will be it. But anyways, thanks for joining us, guys. We really appreciate this. Head on over to YouTube, Tactical Tom page. You can find the video version of the show where you can see Steve and Robert's faces and me in the tiny corner up there. Also, head on over to patreon.com. Give us $1 a month. Get a longer, uncensored version of the show. And check out the sponsors, Gallant Bullets. Use promo code PUPRO10. And DominateDefense.com. Use promo code PARA10. And then make sure that you only buy the finest firearms that your money can buy nowadays.
With O-rings on the barrel.
If it doesn't have an O-ring, put it in the trash, okay? Put it in the trash.
My M9A3 has an O-ring that keeps the threaded barrel on. So, I mean, obviously, it's got an O-ring.
Yeah, but it's not like it's not like this thing right there. It's not a part of the barrel that's specifically made for that O-ring with
true.
That sits on top of its recoil reduction system. I doubt works.
All I have to really counter that is I can buy 8 mags for what you paid for 2?
Shut up. Shut up. It's so depressing. You're like, you're looking at them, and since there's like a short on these for some reason, and so people are selling these for $90 a mag. These HK45s, because they're imported from, I think the gun's made in the U.S., but I believe the magazine is made in Germany.
Well,
so anyway,
thing, I had my friend. He gave me like 45 of these Beretta mags, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm gonna do with them, but by gosh, I'm keeping them.
Yeah, and so it's like when I found them on Gunbroker for $40, which is like $5 cheaper than they go. I was like, hurry, everybody, hurry! How fast can we put in the new card information? Get it in there.
Fry on Futurama. Shut up and take my money.
Shut up. Yeah, I know. Well, the problem is like Gunbroker tells you how many they have. And so you're on there. It's like he only has 4 at $40. I better get 2. I put him in the car.
That's the 4th time they posted that same listing with only 4.
I know. Those bastards. That's what they do. Anyways, thanks for listening. Thanks for downloading, subscribing. Thanks for joining us as we depart once again into the open water. I'd like to bid you peace, love, and soul as we once again depart into the open waters of the sea of life on a little tugboat we like to call the PARAcast.
Hasta la vista, baby.
Good night, everybody.
Somebody would say toot toot, but he's under the front end.
Yeah.